The forest was alive with whispers that night. Wind moved through the high branches, carrying the rustle of leaves like 1,000 quiet voices. The moon slid between clouds, spilling silver across the mossy ground, and somewhere in the shadows, a bowstring drew tight. Captain Imad knelt in the ferns, an arrow resting against the curve of his bow. His eyes were locked on the dirt road below, where the heavy creak of wagon wheels grew louder. It was one of the tax caravans from the sheriff's keep, 3 wagons loaded with gold, grain, and silks, guarded by soldiers in chainmail. That gold had been taken from the villages on the edge of the forest, the same villages where Imad had seen mothers go hungry so their children could eat. Where men broke their backs in the fields only to hand over their harvest to the sheriff's collectors. Tonight, some of it was going back. The caravan came into view, torches burning in iron sconces along the wagons. The lead guard glanced left and right, suspicious but unaware of the shapes moving silently in the trees. Imad raised his hand, and shadows shifted, men and women of his band, each armed with bows, staves, and quick feet. They were farmers, hunters, and wanderers who had chosen to follow him, not because he promised wealth, but because he promised to strike back at those who took too much. At his signal, the first arrow flew, snapping the torch from the hand of the lead guard. Darkness rushed in, and chaos followed. The guards shouted, swords scraping from their scabbards, but the outlaws moved like the wind, unseen except for the brief glint of steel or the whisper of boots on the dirt. Imad dropped from a low branch, landing in front of the lead wagon. His bow sang again, knocking a spear from a soldier's grip. "No one dies tonight," he called to his people. "We take what was stolen and leave the rest." The guards fought fiercely, but without the light of their torches and with the forest pressing in on every side, they began to falter. Imad moved through them with the speed of a striking hawk, disarming one, tripping another, always careful to wound but never kill. When the last guard had been bound and the wagon searched, the villagers who had crept close from the shadows came forward. Imad and his band handed them sacks of grain, bolts of cloth, and heavy pouches of coins. A mother wept as she clutched a loaf of bread to her chest, a boy grinned wide as he hugged a wool blanket. "The sheriff will come for you," one of the older men warned. Imad smiled faintly. "Let him. He'll find nothing but trees and shadows." But the sheriff was not a man to be humiliated twice. Within days, he set a trap, sending word of an even larger caravan heavy with treasure bound for the royal city. It was bait meant for Imad, and he knew it. His closest companions urged caution, but Imad's eyes were sharp with resolve. "If we let them move that much gold, they'll raise taxes higher next season. We take it now, or the villages pay the price later." On the night of the raid, the forest seemed unnaturally still. The caravan rolled into a narrow pass between 2 ridges, torches bright and guards more numerous than usual. Imad's band moved into position, but before the first arrow flew, horns sounded from behind. Soldiers surged from both ends of the pass, cutting off retreat. It was an ambush. Steel clashed, arrows split the air, and the battle swirled under the pale light of the moon. Imad fought at the center, his bow snapping shot after shot, then drawing his sword when the enemy pressed too close. Just when it seemed they might be overwhelmed, a call rang out from the ridge above. Dozens of villagers, armed with whatever they could carry, pitchforks, hunting spears, even slings, rushed down to join the fight. They had come to repay the man who had risked everything for them. With their help, the tide turned. The sheriff's men fell back, their lines breaking under the sudden wave of resistance. Imad's band seized the wagons and drove them into the forest, where the goods were hidden away in secret caches known only to his people. When the last of the villagers had gone home that night, their arms heavy with food and supplies, Imad stood in the clearing with his bow resting against his shoulder. His band gathered around, faces lit by the flicker of the campfire. "The sheriff will keep coming," one of them said. Imad nodded. "And so will we. As long as there's someone willing to take more than they deserve, there'll be someone to take it back." Above them, the wind moved through the branches again, carrying the forest's quiet approval. Captain Imad knew they weren't just thieves in the eyes of the sheriff, they were hope in the eyes of the people. And as long as the forest had shadows, they would never be caught.